Welcome back to the January 14th Select Board meeting, which we will now get officially started with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Tom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So first item on the agenda under open forum is to congratulate Wayne Beauregard on his retirement after 45 years of service with the Westford Water Department. And Mark, did you want to say a few words?
I do, thank you. Mark Warren, Westford Water Department Superintendent. I would like to take a moment to recognize our recently retired drinking water treatment foreman, Wayne Beauregard. Wayne retired from the Water Department on January 3rd after nearly 45 years of service, dedicated service. For a little perspective on that, Terry Bradshaw was the MVP of Super Bowl 14 when Wayne started at the Water Department. So, Wayne, a lifelong Westford resident, started as an operator with the department in March of 1980. Back then, the Water Department was a very different place. We had no water treatment plants, fewer customers, and everything was done by hand. Automation consisted of a phone call from the boss telling you to turn a valve. Over the years, we've added 2 sophisticated treatment plants with 2 more on the way, provided many more residents and businesses with public drinking water, secured an additional water source, and laid countless miles of new water main. Wayne has played a vital role in this development and growth of the town's public water system. On behalf of the Westford Water Department, I want to express our heartfelt thanks and appreciation for Wayne's tireless work in ensuring Westford residents have access to safe and reliable drinking water. Being a drinking water operator is a physically demanding job. Much of the work is often carried out under less than ideal circumstances. Extreme cold, heat, rain, snow, at night, on weekends, and on holidays away from your family. It's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week vocation. It's not simply a job, but a career. Wayne's work ethic exemplified his high level of commitment to the Water Department, our customers, and the town itself. On a personal note, I'd also like to thank Wayne for the opportunity to work alongside him and learn from his wealth of knowledge over the past 14 years. It's been truly an honor and a pleasure. Wayne's taught me so much about both the drinking water industry and the inner workings of the Westford Water Department, as well as the town of Westford. He's always been willing to offer advice or lend a hand, often in his uniquely colorful way. For those of you who know Wayne, know what I'm talking about. So, after 45 years of devoted service, we wish Wayne a long, happy, and well-deserved retirement. And as we say in the Water Department, goodbye tension, hello pension. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark, and once again, congratulations, Wayne. When I pulled into his goodbye party, this gentleman I didn't know pulled next to me and asked who he was, and one of our contractors who was there to say happy retirement, but he said he had learned a lot of the business from Wayne. So those 45 years, picked a lot of stuff. He trained a lot of people in our department and elsewhere. So we're gonna miss him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I would observe we have later on our agenda, we have hopefully the appointment of one of our alternate members on the town building committee to a full-time member, voting member, which means there'll be 2 open alternate seats for the permanent town building committee. So we're encouraging anybody interested to fill out a resident activity form to engage the town clerk's office. And we'll take a look at that in another probably about a month, so we can get to the committee to look at, talk to you, and then appoint from here later on. Similarly, we have open seats. These are actually voting seats on the Affordable Housing Trust. So if you have interest in affordable housing, we have 2 applicants now. So, but we'll welcome more. And then finally, on the posted forum, we have the Westford Facilities Assessment and Master Plan public input sessions being held on January 15th at 7 at the Millennium, February 5th at 6 at Millennium, March 22nd at annual town meeting, Westford Academy, and April 5th at 10 a.m. in Millennium. So many chances to listen, learn, and opine about the Westford Facilities Assessment and Master Plan. Anything you want to add to that, Kristen?
Just that we will also have a hybrid option, so we hope that people will join. There's also the events on Facebook if people want to sign up and get the links there as well. We are looking for input from the public on many of our public buildings of how we move forward with our use of them and our maintenance. So really looking forward to getting the public involved. There's some really fun activities that our consultant has planned, and I think people will have a good time and learn a lot about where we're moving.
Thanks. Is there anything else on the board? Okay, I know Ellen had asked for us for a moment, so Ellen, you can make your request or observation, whatever it may be.
Thank you very much, Scott. I'm Ellen Hardy of 39 Main Street, and I'm also the president of the Drew Farmhouse Incorporated, which is a Westford nonprofit that was founded just a year and a half ago for the sole purpose of preserving the red farmhouse at 70 Boston Road, which was then a vacant real estate office, and to transform that building into affordable housing in the farmhouse and in the barn. Also here tonight with me are members of the board and what Scott McKay called the Drew Farmhouse Posse. We're here tonight to let the voters of Westford know that 14 months after they voted at the October 2023 town meeting to entrust the Drew Farmhouse with community preservation money for both affordable housing and for historic preservation, the work is done. Our contractor, Steve Gothier of Westford, has created 4 extraordinary one-bedroom apartments and 1 two-bedroom apartment in the farmhouse designed by Westford architect Jim Zegowitz, and we're just waiting for renters to move in. Application for our occupancy permit has begun, and we have 2 leases signed with hopes that we will have 2 more by the end of this week with an on or about March 2025 move-in date. When the Board of Appeals allowed the Drew Farmhouse to put 5 apartments in the in the farmhouse, they also gave us permission to do 2 additional units in the barn, the building that you see on the right in the picture. And we are honored to have Habitat for Humanity of Greater Lowell do that work for us. The volunteers from Habitat for Humanity have gutted the inside of the barn back down to the studs and the post and beam. It's extraordinary. And by this summer, they will have created 2 3-bedroom homes inside the barn, which will be owned and lived in by Habitat for Humanity eligible families. We are here tonight to thank especially the first 3 boards that we approached when this was just the embryonic stage, and that's a polite way of putting it. The Affordable Housing Trust, the Community Preservation Committee, and the Historic Commission, who all unanimously said, yes, go ahead, when we were just working it out. As we went through the process, Assistant Town Manager Jeff Morissette, in his inimitable style, could not have been more gracious and helpful in walking us through the permitting process with both Planning Board and the Board of Appeals. And town meeting vote of 2/3 meant so much to us. We have also had, beyond the town meeting appropriation, close to $400,000 donated to the nonprofit as we have to pay off our mortgage that we took out in order to purchase the property. We still have dollars to raise, and we have been honored to receive a $100,000 challenge grant through next month. 20,000 of that has already been raised, and we have created a giving tree, and I think we have a picture of that. Local artist Alice Phelan has created this on our barn door, and each one of the apples, of course it was the Drew Farmhouse, so it had to be an apple tree. Those are apples, represents a donation to the Drew Farmhouse. And in the next 6 weeks, as we get close to the deadline for the challenge, we hope that as you drive by, you will see apple after apple grow on our giving tree and bear fruit. So we just say thank you, Westford, for having faith in us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Is there anything else open forum tonight? Then apparently we move on to our consent agenda. First, we have a request for the town common and bandstand by the Westford Scout Troop 437, Barbara Evangelista, for the annual Scout Troop Bike and Sporting Goods Sale, May 3rd, 2025, from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have banner requests. First, the town manager's office for the 2025 annual town meeting. Dates of display from March 14th through March 24th, 2025. Location in front of First Parish Church. Second, the annual Boy Scout Bike and Sporting Goods Sale with Westford Scout Troop 437, Barbara Evangelista. Banner dates April 25th, 2025 through May 5th, 2025, also in front of First Parish. And then finally, the 2025 town election requested by the town manager's office. Banner to run April 29th, 2025 through May 9th, also in front of First Parish Church. Is there a motion to accept?
Can I just make an amendment before you do that? We have noticed that there's an overlap between Event B, the Boy Scout, the troop at the First Parish, and the annual election, so we'll be moving the Boy Scout troop to the Fletcher Library location.
With that amendment, is there a motion to approve? Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Next, we have a public hearing request for a transfer of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 12, all alcohol restaurant license from Aquasource LLC, doing business as Stir Martini Bar and Kitchen, to RCTM LLC, doing business as Sear Burger Lounge, located at 2 Powers Road. Is a motion to open the public hearing? Second. All in favor? Aye.
I have a question.
Yep.
I know this is unusual to actually have a question. So it looks like this is a transfer from Stir on Powers Road to the new restaurant that's going to go there. Did Stir, which moved to Route 110, get a different alcohol license?
They did,
Yes.
they got the
Okay.
transfer from Chili's.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that all the ducks were in a row.
This one in the audience here for okay, yeah, so if you want to come forward, you can just tell us who you are and speak to it. When I see suits, I assume lawyers, so.
You're correct. Not me.
Not us, sorry.
So to your question, yeah, I'm sorry. We.
You just need to tell us who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For
Yeah,
public
Randy
hearing.
Richards.
Caitlin Hannigan, both owners of Stir Martini Bar on 110.
Okay, thanks.
And Sear. So yeah, the liquor license was transferred from Chili's to us over there, and then we maintained the one over there from what was Stir to the new location, which would be Sear.
So we plan to open a new restaurant over there.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Right, perfect. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate
So
it.
all paperwork in order, Patty?
Looks good to me.
Okay,
That's
so.
great. When do you think you'll open?
As
If all goes
soon
well
as
with
this
the
comes back.
ABCC, then like 6 weeks, that's on them.
Like
So
9 o'clock.
we're ready
Yeah.
to go over there, just a liquor license, so.
Yeah, we did all the internal
Yeah, we did
changes
do
that we
that.
need to
I'm
make
sorry.
for the most part,
I'm
just
so sorry.
paints and stuff like that, changing some stuff up, and we're waiting on the ABCC to come back to us.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks for being here in Westford.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thanks for having
Appreciate it.
us.
You guys have been great.
Thank you.
So is a motion to approve the request?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And
Move to
motion,
close the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Thank you.
good luck.
Welcome
So
to
much,
Westford.
appreciate you guys, thank you. Thank you, yes, we're so
Yeah.
excited, so stay tuned. Hopefully more to come.
Next, we have a request to act and acquire, we have an review and act to acquire by gift 2 vacant parcels of land off Howard Road and 1 vacant parcel of land on Kersey Circle for general municipal purposes as authorized by 2024 special town meeting. I know Jeff is here. Is anybody here for the, who wants to speak to this first, Jeff, or?
I can be brief, and then Sam Palmer is here representing the Aubrey D. Acker Inc. Company as well as the Palmer family. So, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. This is a follow-through item from the Article 9 at the October 21st, 2024 town meeting. The Aubrey D. Acker Company volunteered to donate 3 parcels of land to the town of Westford. and the town meeting authorized the select board to actually follow through and accept that, authorize you to accept that gift. All the paperwork has been reviewed by town council, it's found to be in order, and we're simply asking the board to vote tonight to execute the deed that is here tonight, and draft is in your packet. And we do want to, again, extend our thanks to the Palmers for their generosity here. They were great to work with, and just happy to answer any questions, or if Mr. Palmer wants to add anything as well.
Sam, do you want to add anything, or?
Thank you, Board. Sam Palmer. I just want to express my appreciation to the Land Use Department for their willingness to work with us through the process. It's taking a while. It's taken a while. You know, we've had the parcel for many, many years, but Land Use was receptive and helpful every step of the way, and I want to express my gratitude towards them and this board and the town people for the positive vote at town meeting.
Thank you, and thank you for the donation. That's much appreciated.
As somebody who lives on Kersey Circle and knows that parcel very well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Everybody in the neighborhood uses it all the time.
Yeah, and we've had it for many, many years, but
Yeah,
it's
so
time to.
thank you, we very much
official.
appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Anything further from the audience? Anything online by any chance? Okay. So I guess is there a motion to,
I'll move to accept the gifts of the 2 vacant parcels of land off of Howard Road and the 1 vacant parcel of land off of Kersey Circle.
is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. And thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have a joint meeting with the Economic Development Committee for an update from the town economic development consultant, Trost Advisory Services, on potential slogans and graphics for Westford.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Serpy. I'm the chair of the Economic Development Committee. And just by way of a little bit of background, most of you will recall, Select Board, that you approved ARPA funding to provide an economic development consultant to help our efforts in achieving economic goals in Westford. And I'm pleased to introduce Trost Advisory Services. I've got Jack Trost and Mary Lynn Boone here to share our first major initiative. Some of you may have gotten a preview in the packet, but really exciting stuff going on. And I will let them take it over.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Does anyone like a hard copy of the?
Sure, I'll take one.
Sorry.
Watch the cables. Thank you.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take. Yeah, right, thank you.
I'm all set, thank you very much.
So, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Cheryl, for the introduction. If we can advance to the next slide. This is our mission, but rather than go through the details of what's in our scope of services, I'll try to summarize. It's really 3 parts. It's strategy, marketing and branding, and recruitment and retention. And those are to the exercise of our primary objective, which is to help essentially attract, grow, and retain businesses in Westford. So tonight, we're going to focus on, as Cheryl mentioned, a key phase of our work, which is the marketing and branding part of this work. And I'm going to ask Mary Lynn to go through the details of the report. And at the end, I'm happy to provide a brief summary of our overall project status. In addition, next steps. But Mary Lynn, why don't you and take the next.
Great, thank you.
And I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure getting to know the members of the Economic Development Committee and members of town government throughout this process over the last several months. We really dug in during August and September with some creative development. We surveyed members of the committee, members of town government, and some local business owners, asking them for some input on Westford as a place to do business. And some of the questions are up in the presentation. What makes Westford special? A few words that come to mind when you think about doing business, historical and cultural landmarks that might lend themselves to graphics in the slogan, in the overall look, and a style or tone that kind of best represents doing business here. And I have a few of the responses if you're interested. What makes Westford special were excellent schools, easy access and location, distinct business zones with free parking, an educated workforce, rural character, and a great town staff. So those were some of the things that came back. Some of the key characteristics or attributes for reasons to do business in Westford: it's an affluent community, friendly, diverse, convenient, and it has a growing population. Some of the historical and cultural landmarks that were mentioned are the Town Hall building, Rowdenbush, the Westford Knight, which I chose not to use as graphic influence, Kimball's, apple orchards, and the Abbott Mill. And overall style and tone, people said Westford is warm and welcoming, somewhat traditional, innovative, sophisticated, vibrant, and energetic. So throughout, we used those and as a basis for coming up with a number of slogans. And the initial list of slogans was about 75 in length. So we first had the Economic Development Committee and a small working group round those down. And then we held two focus groups, one with sort of larger business owners like representatives from Gutierrez Company, from BTU International, Collins Aerospace, Akamai. And then the second one was small business owners and more Paul's Diner, Ekaru, Ideal Concrete Block, were some of the people who attended. And through the feedback and the various surveys we did with those companies, we were able to round down the slogans to the three that are listed under phase 2 of the testing, which are: Discover Westford, success is just around the corner; Discover Westford, a hub for growth, a home for success; and Discover Westford, where innovation meets opportunity. I think the most important aspect that we gathered from the focus groups and the research that we did is that people wanted to discover Westford as a place to do business. It's somewhat of a rural town that's so far from Boston, and we wanted the idea of an action item to get people to come out here to realize what Westford has to offer as a place to do business.
I would also interject, too, that these focus groups were broader than just to focus on marketing and branding, and we got a lot of feedback in general from the different types of businesses, and a lot of positive feedback.
Yes, I have some of that feedback as well, if we want to talk about that afterwards. But so phase 3, after we were able to round down the slogans, was to come up with some graphic identity to go along with slogans. And after about 2 dozen initial designs and some modifications, we came up with the 6 that are listed under phase 3 in the identity. And then we let the Economic Development Committee make the final choice, and they chose, which was supposed to be a surprise for today, but however, I think you all saw it, which is phase 4.
Sneak peek.
And what I personally like about this is I think it's a nod to the technology and innovation that you find in Westford by use of the circuit board, but yet brings up some of the historical and rural characteristics by shaping the circuit board as a tree. And the addition of the apple, which seems to be a theme tonight, was actually something that was workshopped during an Economic Development Committee meeting. Somebody suggested the idea of representing the apple orchards, and we literally drew it and showed it to the committee that day. So we are hoping that the select board is on board with us moving forward using this branding and marketing for trying to develop the rest of our program in economic development here in Westford.
Comments from anybody?
Far be it from me to contradict the Economic Development Committee and all the work that you folks have done.
I will also add that Mary Lynn has a little exciting thing that happens with that apple when you're on the right link.
Oh.
I did a little fun animation, which unfortunately you can't show in the PDF, but we'll have it in footers of people's email and whatnot, so you'll get to see it in motion.
I will say, when I first looked at this page, the graphic that caught my eye first was the one that you guys ultimately are
Yeah,
promoting, so.
just so you know, the second and third choice, the second choice was letter D, the Discover Westford road signs, and then the third choice was Discover Westford with the Technology Park building. So those
Chose
were the-
wisely.
Yeah, I think it'll be very flexible. I think it's very friendly, but it does have that nod to technology, so we'll be able to use it on all kinds of things. Some of the items we have coming forward will be a new business toolkit for people interested in doing business here, a new website, or at least a web page that will be devoted just to economic development, hopefully some signage and some other collateral materials. So social media, we're looking forward to using it as often as possible, and we're also hoping to get the buy-in from local businesses to also be able to use it in their communications and some of the business community groups.
And we've also made the first steps to link Trost with our communications consultant. So they'll be working hand in hand together on some of the town communications as well.
And can we announce the date of the party? Yeah, we are planning to have an event to kind of, to let people know that this is happening, and Cheryl just confirmed today that that event is gonna be on March 14th. That's, which is Pie Day, which we thought was kind of appropriate for apples, so tie it all together.
And where is that going to be?
It'll be at Net Scout.
Okay.
I just got that confirmed late yesterday, so it'll be a breakfast event, and we'll make sure all of you get the save the date and.
So apple muffins, not pie. But
Yeah.
Small apple one.
I think we should have pie.
well, little tarts, I suppose.
You
Yeah.
know, I think pie is good for breakfast.
Pie's great.
No, thank you. Actually, I was going through, like Chris mentioned. I said, well, I really did not like the around the corner, because it implies that you'll never actually find it. But I was happy to pick this one, and that I love that. Yeah, the circuitry. It's nice. So, are you looking for more guidance from us, or you just sort of?
No, I don't know if you need to vote on it for us to move it, or if we can just start using it, but,
Well, I think we got a pretty clear consensus. If you want to have a motion to accept the logo and slogan as shown on, phase 4 approval, take a motion.
Yeah, why not? Let's make the motion. I'll make
So
that motion.
moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Great. So, yeah, thank you. That was good work.
Are we gonna hear the rest of the presentation?
Yeah, I'll just do a summary so that you can.
Same thing.
Before we go printing anything, I want to make sure you were legal.
We appreciate the action. So I began with the idea that we have these three interconnected objectives around the goals of, attracting, growing, and retaining businesses in Westford. And so this action sets us on a course to build the brand. So in terms of recruitment and retention, I'll provide a quick update. We've been working closely with the EDC to build a database of businesses here in town, and we've identified about 535 businesses and property owners. We have approximately 130 contacts with those businesses, and the goal is to expand that so that essentially we have a robust list of businesses and contacts in those businesses. As you can imagine, there's a lot of resources right under the roof here, but it's just a matter of pulling it all together, connecting the dots, and enabling us to fill in the database. Some of the other things that we've been working on, and when I say we, I mean the EDC and the town staff, as Mary Lynn was quick to point out, have been essentially on building outreach. We want to continue to expand building one-to-one contacts with businesses in town, and then ultimately to engage, if you can switch to the next slide, engage with the community by developing greater resources around our knowledge of the business community. So, better understanding of the types of businesses that are here, what their needs are, and how the town can meet those needs. One of the other things I would point out quickly about the brand is it's part to grow the businesses that know Westford, but also the Discover Westford and the banner Westford is important to attracting those businesses that don't know Westford. So we have that sort of dual purpose. We want to be able to familiarize people that don't know Westford, educate them to understand and learn about Westford, and at the same time, for those companies like the Stir Restaurant Group, they're familiar with Westford, what kind of resources do they need and how can we help them? So that's essentially what we're hoping to accomplish, and we appreciate your support in taking the next step on the road. And I'm open to any questions, we're open to any questions you might have about our
Chris?
mission.
So, I think there's some great stuff here. With the database, one, I was surprised that we just didn't have that already. So I'm glad that we're building it. Question is, once you folks end your contract, how are we going to maintain it? How do we collect information from companies that are leaving Westford? Because that's, I think, one of the more critical pieces of information we want to be able to get is, why are you leaving? And because there's nothing that would require them to notify the town that they're leaving. I mean, how do we keep this data up to date, I guess? What's your recommendation there?
Okay, so that's a good question. And so technically, businesses are required to notify the town that they're leaving. And there is a database. It's maintained in the clerk's office. And we're in the process of, we started the platform really working off the assessor's database because I felt that was the best way to have every address. And then we filled it in with all the businesses, through the personal property tax records. We know then who all the tenants are in the business complexes. So we have businesses, we have landlords, and then we want to try to build on some of these other resources like the certificates that different businesses file with the town when they come and go. Another thing that we're trying to do specifically, Chris, on your question about, why are companies leaving? One of the things that we've talked about, and Kristen has mentioned, is we'd like to conduct like exit interviews so that we know, why did the company decide not to stay here, and why would they relocate to another building or facility, so that we understand. We have that feedback, we've measured it. That's definitely a part of this process. In terms of how to maintain it, that's part of this communication strategy. And Kristen, I don't know if you want to expand on that.
We have not figured out how to maintain it yet. We do have Trost for a number of months more, and one of the main things that we've discussed with the EDC and Trost is that anything that they build, we want to be transferred to the town, right? So it will all be under town ownership. So we do have a little bit of time to develop. Do we then have a position for this because we'll be increasing revenue, or is there another way? But everything that Trost is doing is being transferred to the town. We're being trained on that. So it will not be owned by Trost, it will be owned by the town of Westford, and we'll be able to maintain and move that forward. So we're hoping at the end of their engagement that we'll have processes and protocols to continue these good things that are being done for the benefit of Westford.
Okay, thank you.
Tom?
This has come up before, and I know you're working on it from the EDC meetings, and I can see some of it here. But just for the rest of the board, I think one of the challenges we've had over the past 10 years is I feel like we sort of get what we get in terms of the business footprint that we have here in town. We don't feel like we have a lot of influence over control. We feel like maybe we're in some state of steady decline. It would be great to have some vision of like what it looks like when we're nailing it. Like with the choices Westford's made about green space, which we value, and about residential character, which we value, with the land that we do have dedicated to the business district, what's what's like a great goal for us to have in terms of how vibrant it can be? There's revenue generation, there's a service to town, there's creating a good community, like, that's what I've felt for a while was not, we didn't have yet. Is that something that will will make some distance towards here as part of this work?
Absolutely. I think the whole point of the three parts, the strategy part, whether it's a long-term strategy and a short-term strategy, would focus on that. And I think what we're going to try to define with the help of the EDC and the town staff is, what does that look like? We have some ideas. We've been moving those around. And I think we would like to come back, quite frankly, with an update. And that would be one of the things we'd like to do, is sort of paint that picture of that vision of what it could look like as you move forward. What are the great things to keep building on? What are some of the other things to think about that could make it even better?
And the EDC and TROST has been fully made aware of our strategic outcome areas and that economic development outcome area. So we hope that we can use some of that framework to inform their work and bring back those metrics to the board for future success.
Yeah, I know we'd love to have you back with helping us envision that.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, Chris?
So presumably you've done this type of work before for other communities, right? So you've done this branding and this outreach and marketing. Do you have any hard metrics on what those efforts yielded in those communities in terms of, next year's growth, 5 years growth, in terms of new businesses coming to those communities that you've done these types of endeavors at?
I don't offhand have any metrics, in part because this may sound like an excuse, but every town kind of goes down a slightly different path, so that I can't say honestly that there's a direct relationship between, for example, I spent a lot of time in Waltham working with them. I spent a lot of time on the state level working with state agencies on different branding campaigns. And so it's a mix of experiences. I'd say the state is better at keeping metrics than the towns. The towns tend to have different ways of how they want to measure what those metrics are, whether it's inbound, whether it's internal growth. But I would say that one of the things we would hope to accomplish with the town staff and with the vision is some potential metrics that we would leave the town, so that you could say, yeah, these are the kinds of things we'd like to see with the tax base. These are the kinds of things we'd like to see with respect to the feedback we're getting from businesses. And, I don't know if you want to add to that, Mary Lynn, but I think we definitely want to leave you with some ways to think about how to measure success if we sort of paint that picture at the same time.
Well, I think, so to what Kristen's, one of the things she stated is, we don't have a position for this. So once you move on, how do we make the business case to, say, hire a consultant again, or to hire a part-time or full-time staff to handle this type of work and engagement? How do we make that case to the taxpayers to say, hey, we need $100,000 to hire X to do Y? Y meaning bring new businesses and help retain businesses in the community, unless we can quantitatively tell them this is what these efforts yield.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to offer that perspective, by the end of the assignment. And as Kristen said, we have a few months, meaning we really have the rest of this year. But it's going to happen fast, and so I'm conscious of that. A lot of towns have created revenue streams, whether it's been through, hotel taxes or other dedicated sources of revenue. And I will be prepared to offer some of those examples and share how other communities have done that. And what the potential is for Westford to, look to those experiences.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool to see.
That, I guess, my question in terms of, do we get, at the end of this process, specific recommendations we've got Route, Route 110 full of obsolete office condos, right? So how do we repurpose those intelligently? We've got retail strips that are not really at capacity. How do we re-envision those? Are those kind of action items we can expect from this work, or is that beyond the scope?
No, I think we've spent some time talking about the office condo market. I mean, on a relative business basis, Westford has a lot of office condos. And so we've talked about that issue, and I think for that type of real estate product compared to an office park, it's more challenging to think about how that, becomes a more attractive investment. The office park is a little different type of investment opportunity in terms of a Gutierrez investing in upgrading a building versus an office condo. So absolutely, I mean, I think that's part of the vision is, if we're gonna lay it out, we're gonna lay it out, I don't wanna say block by block, but we're gonna lay it out certainly product type or commercial property type to the fullest extent that we can.
Okay, good. Anything else?
I guess when will we next have an update?
I think that depends on, we'll talk to the EDC and
Depends on their work.
I think probably it makes sense to come at some point in a couple months and give you an update. So, certainly not to wait until the end.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. Okay, great.
There's no contractual dates, but it's when next logical milestone.
Yes,
in,
I think that's
April or
right.
something, whatever it might be.
I think that's right.
Great. So thank you.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you on Thursday.
Yes.
Next, we have a request to lay out Diane Lane as a public way and to refer the matter to the planning board for a non-binding recommendation. I'm sure that's Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Diane Lane, it's an 8-lot open space residential subdivision off of Carlisle Road. And as a reminder, street acceptance is really a 3-step process. The first step, which we're here for tonight, is for the select board to state their intention to lay this out as a public way. I will say throughout the planning board process, it was designed and always intended to eventually become a public way. And both the planning board and the engineering department, they reviewed it accordingly. After tonight, if you vote your intention, it will be remanded to the planning board for a non-binding recommendation, which will then come back to this board as part of a public hearing process where the neighbors get invited to attend that public hearing and offer any comments they may have on that. The second step in the process is really vote by town meeting to accept it, and then the last step, if town meeting votes to accept it, is finally acquisition. So that's the follow-through where you actually acquire rights on behalf of the town, usually in the form of an easement for the right-of-way. So as I said, tonight is just the first step. We're looking for you to see if you're willing to lay it out as a public way. This would be before the planning board if you take such action tonight at their meeting of January 21st, so next Tuesday. And I do believe we have attorney Melissa Robbins and professional engineer Matt Waterman from Land Tech Associates. They are attending via Zoom in case you have any questions tonight. And I'm also happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
No,
Okay, so
I moved
is
to,
motion to approve?
I moved to request the planning board to lay out Diane Lane as a public way.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you're here also for the zoning bylaw amendment to the planning board.
Yes. So you may recall at the April annual town meeting, we did make some adjustments to the floodplain section of our zoning bylaw amendment. FEMA came up with some required changes to bylaw language. We actually already did the heavy lifting at the April town meeting. So the language is all good, but right now there's new flood map coming into effect. Actually, today we received in the mail the actual date. It's going to be July 8th, 2025. And so we are obligated to update our zoning bylaw to refer to the updated flood insurance study and the flood insurance rate maps. So we must refer to the correct date or we fall out of compliance and we're no longer eligible as an NFIP community. that would be bad for people who need flood insurance. So we're hoping that you will remand this to the planning board in accordance with the zoning act for their public hearing process.
I move to remand.
Is there a second? Joe, second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. You've been busy.
Yeah, we're usually not, not, so, but it's good.
Next, under old new business, we have a request to approve Tom Wimberg as a full member of the Permanent Town Building Committee with a seat expiring of June 30th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations and welcome, Tom. We've already appointed him to the Robinson School Committee, so we've assumed this would be happening, and he was volunteered, but he did accept the volunteering. A request to approve Katie Kelly to the high school student seat on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Congratulations and welcome, Katie. Great resume, I saw it in a packet, very impressive. Request to establish a term limit of 1 year for the high school student seat on the DEI committee, such expired June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Which makes sense given the students we have for the 1 year.
They graduate.
Yeah. Request to authorize $27,531 of the Summer Village Gift Fund to supplement a housing choice grant to conduct a market study analysis for 12 North Main Street property as requested by the Land Use Management Department. And would that be you again, Jeff? I'm sure.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. So we are actually requesting that you consider taking this item up with the RKG contract, whether you take them both together now, if you want to wait till the contract section, because they are related. Or you can stick to the agenda. We can talk about the merits of the Summer Village Gift Fund now and then delay acting on it. It's whatever the board's preference is.
Let's just do it with a contract. That's fine.
Okay.
So if you're listening, the contract is under item 13, section C.
Thank you.
So that,
Do you want to do that now, or do you want to wait for?
I think we should do it now, but is there anything to?
Okay. That was the confusion.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I was just pointing out where the document was, so.
Okay, so, thank you. So the town was awarded, for background, a housing choice grant in the amount of $190,000 to conduct 2 studies relative to the 12 North Main Street properties. We had recommended, we thought the town could benefit from having some additional information that would allow you to make a more informed decision about potential redevelopment of that property. So 2 studies we got approval for. One is a wastewater analysis. If you're not familiar with this property, it does lie within a nitrogen-sensitive area, which dramatically limits the amount of on-site septic capability. It's very restrictive. So unless you find a way to provide some off-site wastewater solutions, your use options are very limited there. So we thought, whether or not ultimately it made sense to go off-site, we thought the select board and/or maybe town meeting should have benefit of what are the options for off-site, what would that cost. We also thought it would be useful to take a look at what some of the most viable uses could be for that property, both from just a financial standpoint, what's viable, what could perhaps bring the best value if it were to come back on the tax books, which is completely separate from policy-related questions, like what is best for the community. But we feel that this board could make the best decision if they had those answers to those questions. So we were awarded that grant, and we did put out an RFP for all of that as one proposal. We did not get any respondents. So we had to separate it into 2 different proposals. We did receive a number of very responsive proposals. And so unfortunately, though, the total of the 2 studies exceed the $190,000 grant that we received. So we are looking permission from this board to take some money from the Summer Village Gift Fund to supplement the grant money so that we can actually conduct both studies, which must be completed per the grant agreement by the end of June 2025. So it's not a lot of time, but you get a lot of information in a short amount of time if we're able to make use of these funds. And so just for some background information, the Summer Village Gift Fund, it did come out of the Summer Village project. It was a form of mitigation. And so there's been some of the projects that have been used for it in the past, some of you folks here on this board would be very familiar with, but it's been used for the Westford Academy track, the Norman Day School playground, the Groton-Dunstable Road intersection improvement project, East Boston camps a few times for some repairs in the EBC bathhouse, the Forge Pond Beach, and some courts resurfacing. So if there's currently about $109,141 remaining in the Summer Village Gift Fund. And so I'm happy to try to answer any questions you folks might have.
So is there a motion to authorize the use of that money?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
To approve the
I should have
RPG.
pointed out earlier, though, the planning board did, it's not a requirement, but you folks usually look for a recommendation from the planning board. They did recently vote to make that recommendation, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the RKG Associates for 12 North Main market study analysis in the amount of $88,400 as requested by the Land Use Management Department.
Second.
Is there a second? Yes. It is a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Next, we need to finalize and approve 2025 Select Board meeting dates, which were in our packet. So hopefully, we'll review that with calendars and
Right, so we did discuss this in 2024. There was a conflict. November 11th is the second Tuesday in November. So the calendar that we have before you this evening suggests that perhaps we have a select board meeting on November 18th and November 25th. I think it would be prudent to review this again in the July or August timeframe, depending on what business we have before the board and how town meeting shakes out in October.
okay, is that better than say the 4th? I mean, thinking Thanksgiving week, do you want to have a meeting that Tuesday?
Right, so we meet October 28th, which is the last Tuesday in October. We could do the 4th and the 18th if you wish as well. That was just a suggestion, so we're able to take anything that the board desires.
Any preferences?
I'm okay with it as is for now.
Okay, so I guess then the motion would be to accept it with meetings on the 18th and 25th. Okay, is there a motion to that effect?
So, but we will still have the review and.
In June.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
We do anyway. We always take a look at August and December when we get into it, so. Okay, so is a motion, I'm sorry, was there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Board reports or updates?
I'll just give a shout out to the EDC since they were here tonight.
They don't look like that anymore.
Yeah, the EDC is like in such a healthy place. Like the people on it are so impressive. Everybody shows up. It's like a really thriving committee, and I think you put in many years on that committee. I've been on that committee for a long time.
I did.
And I don't think it's ever been as, like, the mix of old and new people, the kind of people who are sincerely interested in doing the work. So it's just, if you don't ever go to those meetings, it's like it's sort of a high watermark.
It's nice to hear that you're finally gonna have a really good database. We started working on a database when I was on that committee, which is now a good 12, 15 years ago, and, you know, we had volunteers, citizen volunteers trying to do that, going to the assessor's office, going around town, looking at all the businesses, and, we did, it was a group of gentlemen who came out of the villages at Stonebridge, who
Yeah.
really first started the EDC committee. And so, they did the best they could, for sure, but.
And they did a lot of good work.
And they did an incredible amount of work.
The planning guide, they did a bunch of stuff, but
Yeah.
just, I mean, the scale of work is different.
Yeah, this is just terrific, but shout out to the committee and to the original gentleman who really established it.
Yeah. Of which Ron is one of the alums.
Yes.
Still involved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in that case, Kristen, on to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 2 grants that we would like approval of acceptance, and we're grateful for these individuals. The Greater Lowell Community Foundation and Don and Patty Mason Family Fund submitted a donation in the amount of $250 for pet-friendly safe footing kits for vulnerable Westford seniors when they're going out to walk their pets. And then Nancy Fletcher donated $300 for police vests and helmets. So we're so grateful for their donations and would just request that the board approve those.
Move to accept?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, all those making donations, that's great.
And then one purchase order for turbidity meters at the Forge Village Water Treatment Plant in the amount of $18,673 as requested by the Water Department.
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion to waive reading correspondence? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Does anyone want to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.